Hello and good morning to everybody. As the board chair of the African Philanthropy Forum, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2020 APF conference. I'm so delighted that, as has been mentioned a couple of times, this is our first in-person event in 4 years, and we are having it right here, Rwanda, Kigali, my favorite country. I was a Zimbabwean. It's a privilege to be joined this morning by His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda. And also, what a pleasure it is to have Her Excellency Mrs. Jeanette Kagame, the First Lady of the Republic of Rwanda. Your Excellency, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and for welcoming us to this beautiful country. And I also want to say on behalf of our board, every one of us here, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. I got to show off my singing talents, thank you. I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize Her Excellency, Mrs. Gracia Machel. You're a true icon, an inspiring role model, and a visionary leader for African women. We appreciate your years of service and the work you've done in advocating for women and children's rights. Thank you for all the risks you have taken, the blows you have absorbed on behalf of the continent and the globe. Thank you so much to Dr. Senait for your keynote remarks. Absolutely challenging and so fundamental to what we need to pay attention to. And you have been a huge influence in the way I think about philanthropy and the way I use my voice. So thank you so much for according us this opportunity to elevate the conversation on philanthropy. And I just want to add the First Lady of Rwanda, Mrs. Jeanette Kagame, is a powerhouse. She influences from behind the scenes and has been a source of mentorship, advice for many, many women, including leaders like myself. I don't think I would do the work that I did if it wasn't for the support that I receive and many other leaders receive. Thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us in Kigali to be part of these really critical conversations on gender equality. It's so encouraging to see that we have a very diverse group of leaders in the room, including students from just not the African continent, but from around the globe. 26 countries is a good representation of the pain points and the solutions we need to be thinking about. When we were deliberating as a board on what theme we needed to select for this year's conference, the obvious answer was gender. And the reason is the following: 142 years. That's the length of time it will take to reach gender parity in Africa at this current pace. I was going to say 132 years, but I decided to factor in the unfactored and elevate it to 142. 316 billion is the amount of money that would be added to Africa's GDP if each country advanced women's equality to match the most progressive of countries. Gender inequality means that women who do 75% of unpaid work are not only recognized, but take their place on the world stage. It means the gender equality that we see is represented by 6% of CEOs being women. Women also hold globally 26% of parliamentary seats in the world. These are glaring facts and statistics that should cause us to wake up and really create a sense of urgency in all of us so that we can accelerate the progress that is urgently required to achieve gender parity. I must commend the efforts that has been made by the advocates, the activists, movements, and leaders. The ground in which women work, especially activists and those who are leading and part of movements, is very difficult and extremely challenging. So thank you for willing to take the fight for gender justice and for sinking in to do the work over many years. The strides you have made and the efforts you have made are gaining much recognition. But we need more women in the front line of this fight. More young women driven to become politicians, like women like Lindiwe Mazibuko. We have seen her use her voice exceptionally well. We need exceptional skills where we take our seat at important platforms to drive and influence decisions. We have seen women like Vera Songwe use her voice in a most admirable and effective way. We need stronger storytelling at all levels. And at this, I would love to point out Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie as an example of effective and powerful storytelling. There are many, many, many names that we could mention. But we also must dedicate time, we must dedicate efforts, we must dedicate resources to raise these women and address the gender crisis. Research shows that what is exactly needed is represented in 5 areas. Number 1, again, amplifying what Dr. Senait spoke about, investment in human capital. Number 2, creating economic opportunities for women. Number 3, leveraging technology to support women. Number 4, shaping attitudes of men and women. Number 5, enforcing laws, policies, and regulations. These 5 areas will be covered in depth in the different plenary sessions that we are holding throughout the conference. And I'm truly excited about the wealth of speakers that we have the privilege to hear from and to interact with in the next 2 days. They will share their experiences and they will share their expertise on the role of policy in closing the gender gap in Africa, what we must do in order to accelerate economic equity for women, the importance of investing in education and especially girls, the role of male financial champions also leaning in order to close the gap, then climate change and food security from a gender equity perspective. There's also so many other discussions that we are going to touch on, including the private sector, diaspora, and how we can mobilize the resources needed for gender equality. I also want to mention the Gender Africa Initiative that will be launching at this year's conference. The Africa Gender Initiative is a big and bold step as African philanthropists to tackle gender injustice through collaboration and leveraging new resources. And I'm thrilled and very honored to lead the initiative and would like to invite all of us to attend the launch dinner that we are going to have and where you learn more about the Africa Gender Initiative and really look forward to seeing you there. At this point, I also want to take the opportunity to thank the APF network, the staff, our community of donors and partners. Your invaluable contributions help to make the conference and the forum a success. Thank you to the APF board members who have continued to give guidance and support. And a special mention today to Her Royal Highness Queen Sylvia, Benga Oyebode, Swithen Munyatwali, and Yimpini Mabunda, our board members who were able to make it to the meeting. Thank you to the APF team led by formidable Mohsen Layodi for this wonderful conference and for knowing exactly where to hold the conference. Now, at this point in time, I would like to conclude by having the honor to introduce our next speaker. It is fitting that we gather around gender in one of, if not the most progressive of countries globally, in Rwanda. Rwanda is ranked 6th in the world on the Global Gender Gap Index. Rwanda has made significant progress in closing the gender gap with the highest number of women parliamentarians in the world, a gender-balanced government, and enshrined equal rights for men and women into law. I want to commend you, sir, for your vision and the effort and the passion that you have invested in to take Rwanda and influence the rest of the globe. Your Excellencies, thank you so much for uplifting women and girls, not just in Rwanda, but nations across the continent and globally, who learned so much from your leadership to create that world, that ideal world we want to see of gender, a gender-equal world. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda.